Hey everybody, and welcome to the Whole Package by Premier Packaging. I'm your host, Billy Watkins, and I'm joined today by Andy Hennessey, our Chief Financial Officer.
Glad to be here, Billy.
It's good to see you, Andy. It's been, like we said before, it's been a while. Maybe the Christmas party or just passing each other in the halls.
Yeah, it's time flies.
I know.
When you're having fun here at Premier Packaging. It's great to see you, Billy.
It's good to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, the old Andy.
The
How'd you get
background,
your start?
Born and raised here in Louisville, Kentucky. Went to high school here, went to the University of Louisville, and after undergraduate, worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers in public accounting for 5 years, and went back to get my graduate degree at U of L.
Is Price Waterhouse is that the place that tabulates the votes for the Oscars?
I believe they do. Yes, yeah. I was never selected for that role.
Be fun to do, maybe, but there's always the guy behind the scenes with the locked briefcase holding the envelopes.
That's correct. I'm not sure if he's an employee or not, but
it looks good on camera. How did you decide to get into accounting? Were you fascinated by numbers as a kid? Were you always good at math?
Yes, I've always loved numbers. Being an athlete as a kid, you think about baseball, you have the batting averages, and football, you're always curious with yardage and passing yards and receiving yards. So all of that fascinated me. Free throw percentage in basketball. So just taking that, through my career, math, I guess I was lucky. It came easy to me. So something that I liked and something that I was good at, it made sense just to go forward with it.
Through that, how'd you wind up at Premier?
So at PricewaterhouseCoopers, I had a couple coworkers that ended up going to a regional CPA firm that did the taxes for Premier Packaging. So when Premier, John, and the ownership were looking for a CFO back in 2011, they connected with that group, and I was introduced and started the interview process.
You started in 2011.
I've been here for just over 13 years, March of 2011.
That you beat me by like 5 months. I think I was August or something of 2011.
Yeah, I don't know if I may have interviewed you.
This is our 13th. I don't know. This is our 13th year. Is that good or bad? Should I be nervous about the 13?
It's great.
Okay.
No, it's great. I've enjoyed it. It's been a roller coaster as far as up and down and just a lot of growth, a lot of changes, and Premier Packaging keeps you on your toes.
It certainly does. I mean, from day one, I would agree with you. So you've been here 13 years. You've been the CFO during that time. What exactly does that job involve?
This is going to sound like a cliche, but cash is king. So it's, number one is managing cash flow, the ins and outs on a daily, monthly, quarterly basis. Making sure that, you're making profits and you're reporting financials accurately. So management, ownership can make, the right decisions.
Right. With
so,
the right information.
That sounds like a cliche, but that's what it is really making sure you're projecting out cash, you're working with the bank, you're working with ownership to know what's kind of coming next, to build a plan.
How does that go with a company, especially when we both started? I mean, it was experiencing massive growth year to year. I mean, was it you just put your head down and persevere, or was it what kind of challenge did that create?
A lot of conversations with the bank. I mean, as we grew, profits were increasing, but inventory was increasing. So making sure that we had the right, financing available to finance that growth. So it was usually, a kind of a stagnant company. I say stagnant, small growth. You're talking with your finance relationships on a quarterly, maybe twice a year basis. But with the growth we experienced, really from 2011 through 2022, it was a weekly or monthly conversation.
Wow.
As far as what's coming next month. That's the cadence we got into.
So you get to know your bankers.
You get to know your bankers, and you get to know your balance sheet.
Yeah.
So you know what receivables are, what inventory is. You get to know sales, because you got to know what the pipeline is. You got to know what's coming up. Is that going to require 30 days of inventory, 45 days of inventory? How big is the volume? So you're really tied to the whole organization.
How since you've been here, how has our accounting team changed and grown? Have you seen improvement? I mean, were we always kind of good at the numbers? Did you have good data, or did you have to kind of?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. To answer your first question, when I started in 2011, I believe I was the 5th or 6th member of the team.
Okay.
And going back to the early days, 2011, 2012, I remember on Friday afternoons we would cut all the checks, and then we would all sit in the lunchroom over at Jennings Lane, and we'd stuff the checks. So that's back before everybody was on ACH payment and wire payment. So
Right.
we actually folded the checks up, put them in an envelope. We licked the envelopes and then had an assembly line. So things have changed a lot. At our peak back in 2022, I believe the accounting department had around 40 employees. And we've leaned out a little bit. We're
Right.
down to, I want to say 26, 27 now.
Okay.
And it's a great team across every department. Within accounting's one department, but you have accounts payable, accounts receivable, you got collections, you got financial reporting and analysis, you got cash management. So the whole team is great. So really happy what we have going on right now.
If I remember back in the day, I remember my first week here doing a tour of going around and meeting people. You all weren't even on site, right? You were at this little
Yeah, so
tiny warehouse.
For those that have been here a long time, as we grew, when I first started in 2011, our first what I'll call off-site warehouse was at Jennings Lane right down the street, because we outgrew 3900, the manufacturing facility. So accounting was based at Jennings Lane from 2011 until 4301 opened in, I guess, 2018. So for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And that was home. That's where my office was, and that's where the accounting department was. And that lunchroom I mentioned earlier used to have a lot of space. By the time we left, we probably had 20 employees there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That lunchroom became cubicles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was no longer a lunchroom at Jennings Lane.
And not that there was anything wrong with it, but it was a dark, kind of gloomy place. So you've moved up in the world at 4301 for sure.
Yeah,
right?
people didn't like visiting us. So we
Good and bad, I think, there.
But yeah, good and bad. Usually they liked coming if we had a check for them, but
Right.
if they had to come
For any
tell
other
us the bad
reasons.
news,
Yeah.
then they stayed away from the dark, gloomy place.
We're out of it now. Let's see. So in 2018, and from about 2018 to 2022, you were our chief operating officer as well. How did that come about?
Yeah, so as we grew, and Billy, you were a part of this, during that high growth stage from 2011, 2012 through 2020, people were wearing multiple hats throughout Premier, and we still do today, but really it was a lot during that time frame. So I was involved in operations. As finance grew, like I said earlier, finance really ties the company together. So I was involved with our 3PL growth and our warehousing growth. And then when the company did a restructuring back in 2018, John gave me a call and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about being COO?" And the answer was yes. It's like, I have. I'm interested in operations. I love the growth. So stepped into that role and really, helped lead along with John and Jill the growth from 3 manufacturing facilities in 2018 to 6, by the end of 2022. So we doubled in size on the manufacturing front. We doubled in size on the distribution front. We signed a lot of leases, in Dallas and Stone Mountain, Fontana, Pedricktown. So really expanded to meet the sales of the organization. So that was fun.
Starting out, you're in accounting. You're a numbers guy. Obviously, before you had been here a while, before 2018, before that happened. How much had you absorbed in terms of the manufacturing side, the distribution side, the corrugated industry?
Yeah, from the number standpoint, I had absorbed a lot. So I knew the ins and outs. I knew kind of what the expenses were, what the what the contribution to the company was. But what I was totally, oblivious to back in 2018 was the technical side. So really spending time with the site leaders, both on the manufacturing and the distribution side, and really understanding and seeing what they do was a learning experience. And I think I can speak for everybody in the organization. We're still learning today because it's rapidly changing just with technology. But really enjoyed spending time with the individual site managers, during that 5 years as COO.
So now you're full on back as CFO. You crunch numbers. You work closely with our new CEO, Jill Gaynor. But your job also involves strategic thinking, risk assessment. You're trying to predict, I guess, where the market's going, right?
Yeah, sure.
Where is it going?
Let me look at the crystal ball. No, I mean, as we've talked about a lot here at Premier, just kind of high level macro, sustainability is a huge push in the industry. The other thing that we're seeing just over the past couple of years with inflation and prices rising is really consolidation. You're seeing a lot of companies kind of skip distribution and try to work directly with the manufacturer to try to cut out as much costs as possible in order to keep prices low for the end user. So it's very much a price play to keep as far as high volume. The big players and the medium-sized players like Premier have a leg up on the smaller guys, the regional guys, because of the tough kind of economy that we're in right now, which is prices being so high. But sustainability from a macro level is really where the products are going.
I mean, everybody's got a different answer for this, but inflation, pricing wise, I mean, are things just, we're going to get used to it and they're going to stay high, or do you see, what does that look like? You don't want to.
I'm not an economist, but no, I do think things settle down eventually.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in order for that to happen, the economy's got to slow down and unemployment has to increase. Demand has to slow down. So I do think, the rapid inflation that we had in 21, 22, and really cooled down in 23, I think that has stopped. Now I think you're going to see a slower deflation. I think you'll see prices go down a little bit over the next, call it 2 to 3 years, but nothing
nothing drastic.
Nothing drastic. We're not going back down. No. They're going to remain high, and that's what I said. Companies gotta look in the mirror and really figure out, okay, how do we address costs? How do we meet customer demand by helping the market out by reducing costs and making things more efficient in order to keep that price low.
And we do that. We innovate. We
innovate. Technology is huge. You get more efficient. There's a lot of companies that, when you have that rapid growth and you have the economy booming like it has for the past 10, 15 years, top line, covers up a lot of mistakes. Yeah. When sales are growing through the roof, you're catching up on sales. Party. You're constantly trying to take care of the customer. So maybe you're not being as efficient as possible. Right. That's what we're working on right now. How can we drive that efficiency?
And we've improved upon that quite a bit, I would say.
We have.
Right. Yeah.
We have in every aspect, manufacturing, distribution, sales, been to the sales meetings on attacking the right customer and going after the right customer and producing the right products. We don't want to be spinning our wheels on things that we're not good at, because that is inefficient and at the end of the day is not good for the customer and not good for us.
What do you, in terms of risk for packaging companies our size, what are you seeing out there? You kind of spoke to that. I mean, is it the big guy kind of getting into our space, or?
I think manufacturing. So I mentioned that earlier. I think we have a leg up. The investments that we did over the past 5 years, we invested a lot of capital. We really doubled our manufacturing output from 2018 to 2023. That sets us up to be able to grow versus some of the competition. Some of those regional 1 or 2 site locations are going to struggle competing with the Premiers and with the bigger guys that have the volume, that have that leverage. That also creates opportunity for vertical integration as far as creating partnerships with both up and down, sheet suppliers, et cetera, that will set us apart. We have those in the works, and we're going to be able to take advantage of that and be competitive in the marketplace where those smaller kind of one site regional manufacturers are going to struggle. So.
And we have a chance to succeed. Yeah,
we do. We have the right equipment. We have the right team. We have the right customer base. I think as a company, national accounts has become a bigger piece of the pie, which is volume. So really using our infrastructure nationally, both manufacturing and distribution, will allow us to win that business at a national level.
Has it been? Was it easy to do all of the all of the machines that we added? That's a lot of money. Was it just everybody kind of checked the box and said, yeah, you guys are good to go, or do you really have to prove that we can?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So we obviously experienced rapid growth. Like I said, from 2011 to 21, but really you can shrink that into a 2-year period that we doubled in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
And we basically leveraged that growth, that cash flow that was created, to financing, the capital that we did spend in 2022 and 2023. So we kind of had the cash flow, we had the history, but we are still having to show the results.
Right.
So things have slowed down a little bit, which has basically changed. Our operation, changed our company, but we're adapting and we're able to show the benefits of this capital that we've invested in. It's paying dividends largely for us.
Kind of off topic. Do you do your own taxes? Is that a dumb question?
It's not a dumb question. I need to be careful on how I answer that.
Okay.
Who's going to be watching this, Billy? I do my own taxes. Yes.
Okay, that's good. You've
but
got
I am not a tax
confidence.
expert.
You've got confidence in your skills, and you can do your own. Are you just using QuickBooks? I'm kind of asking because
I use TurboTax.
Okay,
It's pretty, kind of walks you through it.
That's
Obviously,
what it is,
you got to know
TurboTax.
some of the terms that are being thrown out, and I think my background, I do know the terms. But as far as new tax regulation that comes out and methodology, and especially on the individual level, I gotta ask people. I gotta ask for help occasionally.
Okay, and that's a good reminder for everyone.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I am not a tax expert, so
So
I'll try to answer your questions if
then
people
I'm not
want to
gonna
come.
call you.
I'm always here to help people, but I do not have all the answers to everything.
Risk-wise, do you play the lottery?
I do not.
You don't?
No, I do not play the lottery.
Do you ever? Sometimes, neither do I. But when they get up to like $1 billion, and the next day it's like, why didn't I do that? And some jackleg in Omaha, wins the entire thing. What
What do I think about that?
Yeah, I'd like to get in on that. And you got to play to win, right? But I don't, because it's too much.
I think that's a commercial, right? You might, you might as well play. You got to win. Yeah. No, I do not play the lottery. I'm pretty conservative, although so I do like to gamble a little bit. Sports gambling is now legal here in Kentucky. So but my rule is, just so you kind of keep it conservative, is you only bet on the games you're watching. So I don't sit there and bet all those games that are on
that you
West
don't even
Coast
know what the heck's going on
overseas. But if I'm going to watch a game, you put a little money on it.
You're rooting for
I'm
your
risking
team
a little bit.
Yeah, makes it more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
Horses? You like the horses?
I do like the horses. I love horse racing. Never been a winner gambling, but it's a good time. And it's good atmosphere.
It only takes a couple. It only takes an exacta to make you
hear
come
the
back
stories.
for more.
So I guess if you equate that to the lottery, I do bet on horses, and occasionally we'll throw down some sort of exotic bet that maybe would pay well, but I've never hit that big one. But there's still time.
Things have changed so much. You probably weren't around with like ledgers, right?
No,
that was a long time ago.
No, my first experience at PricewaterhouseCoopers, we had computers, so it wasn't that long ago. Yeah. But the funny story is, and you'll remember this, is back before everybody had wireless internet and high-speed internet. Is you'd go to a client, you do all your work. You weren't connected to the internet, so you had your computer, you did your work, and then you go home or back to the office, and you had to actually plug into the telephone.
Yeah.
So you remember the dial-up?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you sat there and you'd have a coffee or chat with somebody while your computer was refreshing to the network like for 30 minutes. So that was a daily process. You did all your work, you plugged in, and then it kind of went to the network, and when everybody did that, everybody got updated. So,
And now it's just instant.
so that was my kind of old time story. I don't have the ledger days. That was before my time.
I was having dinner with Grandma last night, and God bless her, 91, and she was talking about how she needed help balancing her checkbook, and I was like, well, who the hell balances their check? What do you mean? And but it wasn't a problem.
That is good discipline, Billy.
It is good. But I have an app, and I just look. I mean, it is what it is.
Just press buttons.
They
you assume
everything gets taken out automatically, and I don't know what it's just I get a notification.
You're right. I don't know who has an actual checkbook. I mean, I guess everybody occasionally writes checks for this and that. But
I guess I love her because the problem was she kept coming up with the bank had $3,000 more than what she thought, and I said, well then forget about it.
That's a win.
Yeah, you're fine.
Just make sure they don't come asking for it after you spend it.
Right, exactly.
We made a mistake.
Or throw a little my way. What do you think, Premier wise? What's the rest of this year look like? What's 2025 look like?
Gosh,
crystal ball again.
I do think we're going to see some growth. What I'm hearing through the sales team, especially starting here in the second quarter of 2024, is we're gaining some wins.
Yeah.
So I love seeing that growth projection with some of our regional and national sales team. But as far as that, I think we're kind of in that stabilization phase. We started last year and we're experiencing this year, and I think it continues probably about another year and a half, where if we do have growth, it's going to be slow growth,
right?
5%, where we're just stabilizing. Let's get more efficient. Let's look at our cost structure. Let's make sure that we're buying the right products, buying the right raw materials, using the right resources.
Yeah, we're not blowing up. We're taking the growth.
We're being conservative,
keeping it. Yeah.
So we're being conservative right now from a capital standpoint, from an investment standpoint, and I do think the investments will come back. Here in a few years, once the growth engine gets turning.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I hope to see you more often.
Yeah. Come stop by.
I'll call you around tax time.
I may not answer that phone call.
That's fine.
But you know where to find me here at 4301.
Yes. Good talk today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Make me feel good about the future. Looking forward to it.
Very positive. It's going to be great.
Andy Hennessey, everybody, our CFO here at Premier Packaging. I am your host, Billy Watkins, for The Whole Package by Premier Packaging. Until next time, bye-bye.
Do you have comments, questions, or ideas about this topic? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please visit primpack.com/podcast to let us know what you think. Thanks.